All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to publish this on Monday morning at the start of week 2, and I'm looking forward to all the work that you're going to do this week. But I'm recording this on Sunday night at about 9 p.m. And I know that some of you are busy working on finishing the week 1 stuff because I can see that not quite everything's been turned in yet. So let me switch over to this view, and you can see that I've got a lot of work ahead of me because I can see a bunch of assignments having been turned in, and there's a few more still coming in the next couple of hours. So that's great. And like I said in some of the emails, I totally understand that sometimes we've got multiple commitments, we've got some challenges, and some of these things are just not going to get done until right up to the deadline. I just want to remind you that the official policy for the course is that the latest I can possibly accept assignments is 2 days after the due date, and that there's a late penalty for that. So it's really important to try and get things in on time. And I really think it's easier if you do it a little bit at a time each day rather than leaving it till the end of the week, because it can get out of control. And if you're looking at it early in the week, then you'll have a more accurate sense of how long it's going to actually take to do each of the assignments. And sometimes they can sneak up on you if you don't do that. So I don't want that to happen next week. So another thing I just want to emphasize is the late policies and the structure of the course is really set by Edmonds College. There's a committee of faculty that got together to produce this course and the policies around it. So I didn't write all of the content. Some of the stuff in there is mine, but a lot of it was set for me, and I'm supposed to follow those policies because those are things that many college professors expect. And one of the goals of this class is to help make sure that you're prepared to take those classes and succeed in them, and to know that these are the expectations. Like, we hold you to high expectations and you can meet them. So I'm just trying to communicate to you about how to do that. And I think one of the best ways to do it is to chip away at it a little bit at a time rather than to leave it toward the end. But then I understand sometimes some weeks will be more difficult than others, and sometimes things will have to wait. So one thing I just want to emphasize is that it's really important to communicate ahead of time if something comes up. So you don't have to tell me many details, just that there's something serious and you might need a little extra time, and I can work with you in those instances if you communicate ahead of time. As long as it isn't every week, I'll trust you. You don't need to tell me exactly what's going on. You just say it's serious and you need some time. If this is happening every week, then I'd recommend reaching out to me or your advisor to talk about your options and to see whether there's something we can do to help you support you better. It may require more accommodation than an individual faculty member can actually provide. Okay, so let's look a little bit at next week's stuff. So I'm going to hide week 1 since we'll all be done with that, and move on to week 2. And you can see again there's some reading and watching and exploring, and there's some assignments. There's a mini quiz, there's an activity and discussion about note-taking techniques, and one about finding an interview candidate. The note-taking techniques discussion is a little different than last week's. In this one, you don't have to make a comment in reply to any of your classmates. So that one just has a deadline at the end of the week, and we're not going to have that multi-step thing that's been an issue this week. But it does ask you to read everybody else's posts because they're going to choose different techniques for taking notes on that assignment, and it'll be useful for you to see the way other people do that. There's a second discussion assignment, though, about finding an interview candidate. And this time I decided to make a change to it to try and help set us up a little bit better for success. So I broke it up into 2 pieces. There's one discussion board, and you can get to it from that link right here about finding an interview candidate. But then I set a due date of October 3rd, which is Friday, in order to make your initial post, and then October 5th to make your reply post. And my hope here is that this is going to help us all to do a better job this week of getting the initial post up earlier so that everyone else has something to reply to. So make sure to read them all when you're getting ready to do your reply post on Saturday or Sunday. Don't just reply to the first one, because then that first person is going to get a lot of comments and feedback and useful stuff. But the people down at the bottom of the forum are going to see less stuff, and that's not going to be as helpful to them. And also, it'll be more helpful for you if you see everybody else's. So try to scan through them all. Try to reply to something that nobody else has replied to yet before you do a second reply to one that's already got replies. Okay, and the next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look a little bit at this particular page about learning about generative AI. So there's a lot to say about generative AI, about AI in general. And I will be honest with you. The stuff that's written on this page is not exactly what I would have said myself if I had written it myself. You can tell it's not my voice. This is the stuff that's provided for me. Um, the stuff that's here is true. It's just not exactly the stuff that I would emphasize. So it talks about some of the benefits of AI, some things that you might use it for, like brainstorming and improving your writing by doing polishing paragraphs and sketching outlines. And then it talks about some drawbacks of generative AI, like the fact that it's not always factual. It sometimes doesn't really address the whole thing that you asked it for, or does something slightly different than what you asked for. That sometimes it makes up citations, sometimes that there's issues with bias and data privacy. There's issues with environmental concerns like the amount of energy that it consumes and the water used to cool the servers that are used. And all of those are real issues, but they're not the ones that I think that are really the most important. For one thing, some of these drawbacks are things that are improving. So I know there are some faculty that probably tell you, well, don't use AI because it doesn't work. It doesn't do a good job. And some of you, I'm betting many of you, have tried different AI tools and found, well, it does a pretty decent job for the stuff that I've asked it for. And it might give you an impression that your faculty don't know what they're talking about if they're emphasizing the stuff about it like it doesn't work. And you're like, well, it does. And I submitted an assignment with it and you gave me an A on it. So it must have worked. Right? I'm betting some of you had that experience. There's also an issue about detector tools. Like I know that the detector tools that are out there don't actually really work that well. There's too many both false positives where it accuses somebody incorrectly, and too many false negatives where it just misses the fact that something was written by AI. And those error rates are too high to rely on. So I don't want to rely on them. And I don't really want to focus on trying to catch people at using AI tools because I don't think that's really the point. And that sets up a bad environment. So I'm in general going to trust you, although I might kind of notice and sometimes point out that sometimes some of the stuff that gets produced and turned in doesn't sound super personal, doesn't really sound like your voice. Okay, that's a lot of stuff just to like complain about what's here, but it's not telling you exactly what I do think. So that's the part that I would emphasize about AI is not about, it's about, I would think about these benefits. I'm figuring out exactly what I'm going to say as I'm saying it here. So this text suggests that you might use it to polish paragraphs or to sketch an outline or to brainstorm. And to me, for many assignments, the stuff that you do to polish it and to figure out exactly what it's about, to figure out what the ideas are, those are the most important parts of the assignment to me, because those are the parts where you figure out what you think. Sometimes that work of like digging into it and saying, well, what is the best way to say this thing that I'm trying to say is what helps you figure out what you actually think. And I feel like for the most part, if you're having an AI tool do that part for you, like some of these things, you're missing out on the most important part, the most interesting part, really. And what I'm afraid of is that will make the assignment truly a waste of time because you won't get the benefit that was the purpose of the assignment in the first place. Why would you do that? It's like, I mean, I could go to the gym and lift weights and that would make me stronger. Or I could go to the gym and put the weights onto a robot and it could lift a lot more weight than I can. But it's not going to make me any stronger to do that. And that's kind of how that feels. Like some of the ways that people use AI tools are stealing the chance for the best part. And I know that many of the assignments that professors give you feel like busy work. They feel like they're not actually important. And so why not just get through it as quickly as possible? And I just want you to think about, as you're choosing what tools to use and what tools not to use, whether you're really getting the most possible benefit out of that work by using that tool or not. And I think you're in a good place to judge that. But I just want to make sure that you're thinking about it. So for any assignment that allows AI use, that explicitly says it's okay, I think it's a good idea for you to ask yourself, do I think I'm going to learn as much as I could by doing this or not? Could I learn more by doing it in a different way? And if you can find a way to learn more by using some tool than you would have, then that sounds pretty cool to me. But if what you're doing is going to rob you of the chance to cheat yourself out of the chance to learn something, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me. All that is also in addition to all of that, you really do need to follow whatever policy a professor sets for an assignment. So if an assignment says no AI use, don't. Please. There's a reason behind it. They're not trying to waste your time. And you should follow those guidelines as much as possible. And there's all sorts of stuff about academic integrity policies where you don't want to go down those roads. So I think that's all I've got to say about that. If you've got questions about AI use in this class and in other classes, feel free to reach out to me, send me a note, and I'd be happy to chat about it. So I think that's all I'm going to say about this week. I'm looking forward to seeing your work. And I hope that you have a good time and that I will start seeing some of your submissions for week 2 in the next few days as you chip away at it over the course of the week. So as always, let me know if you need anything, and I'll see your work soon.